as an organ of the body receives. So that's where we are today, and we are going to look at a different aspect of hand as as an organ which it functions. So when you look at the major function of the human hand, it is to manipulate the object and to accomplish a goal. The ability of the human hand to assure a myriad of positions and to apply only the precise amount of pressure necessary is owned due to the mobility and stability of the skeleton, the power of the muscle, and the sensory feedbacks to the nerve from the nerves. Having said this, it is very important to understand the structure of the hand. The osseous structure, as we all know, is composed of 8 carpal bones. The proximal row of scaphoid, lunate, trapezium, and pisiform articulates with radius and ulna. The distal bones are the trapezoid, capitate, hamate, articulate with the 5 metacarpals. The 2 thumb phalanges complete the thumb unit, and the 3 phalanges comprise of the index, the middle, and the little finger, ring and the little finger. There are 24 bones totally in the hand, which are completely supported with your ligament and contractile musculotendinous unit. Now, this is something which I found very important, that when we observe movements, we don't understand how many muscles, or even if you look at the index finger, how many muscles go intricately into performing a movement by one. Suppose someone is playing with a piano. We have to understand that the index finger is acting, and when the index finger is acting on the piano by playing the piano, the muscles which are acting along with the lever arms, what they're getting from the proximal hand. This is very important for us to understand. Now, when you're looking at the motor development of an infant, controlled reach, okay, when you talk of reach, it is controlled reach is achieved much before your pincer grasp for manipulation, which is the older system which is controlling the shoulder. We know that matures first comparatively to the newer system which controls the hand. Now again, one more important and interesting thing which I found was the motor neurons which are in the men. We know this again is a fact which we should reiterate. Motor neurons in the ventral horn of the spinal cord are not randomly distributed, but they are all clustered. All of us know trunk, shoulder, girdle, and hip. The lateral column consists of a motor neuron for distal extremities, and in the dual motor system, one system serving posterior, postural and axial movement, and the other system serving the muscles of distal extremities, providing the speed and dexterity of the movement. Okay, so manipulation depends on the sensory guidance of the receptors. Vision guides the hand in space, prepares the hand for grasp, and can determine the hand to be critical for refined and controlled movements. The ability to produce individual finger movements absolutely depends on the pyramidal tracts and the primary motor cortex. Children with poor hand skills often avoid a fine motor task. Having said this basic, very basic anatomy, physiology, which we should know, it's very important to understand how the functions develop and why we say that perceptual functions of the hand are very, very, very important. So a single chain in a human evolution upright gait, when man lifted his hands from the ground, they were freed for the purpose of locomotion and were put into the service of intelligence. We are still, we are going back to where we were when we sit on the laptop and just use our hands for, tapping the buttons. So it has been observed that the complete structure of the hand, which was seen in a chimpanzee, and even before that, they observed that the hand was divided into 2 parts, the proximal and the distal part. If you see the rats, if you see the rabbits, if you see the rats, they're using most of the distal part of it. They have distal slender digits on their hand. But when you see the previous ones, they had the proximal part which was used, holding on to trees, clunching the branch of the tree, jumping. So the finer functions are seen in the distal part of the digits. So there's a big evolution which has happened, and this evolution has happened not only because of the neurology of how the systems have evolved. As we have evolved from our ancestors, our functions have evolved. So the environment has changed. So as our ancestors used to catch onto the branches of the trees, they used to go crawling. So the quadruped gait had a lot of different demands on the hands as opposed to what we are today as human beings, using the hands into very creative scenarios and into functions. So now think of this scenario. Stop for a moment and think how it feels to wash dishes with the rubber gloves on. Or even for that matter, don't go to the washing dishes. Nowadays, all of us have to treat our babies with gloves on our fingers, on our hands. And it is, you cannot feel the touch. Yesterday night, I had been to to see a baby who was howling away to glory. And I didn't want to wear the glove because it was limiting the ability of my information passing to the baby. Needless to say, this is a new normal and we have to get used to it. But try to keep the gloves as thin as possible and as adherent to your skin as possible. This is what I would say. So just think of what information, something, even a small film, even if your hands are wet, you would like to dry your hands before doing some activity, because the feel, though our hands, though our thumb is so enriched with the nerve supply and the sensory receptors, we need to understand what it feels like with the bare touch of your hand. So that hand has two closely related functions: perception organ, which is the organ of knowing, and the executive organ, which is the organ of doing. So most of the kids who come to us come with these problems of doing. Very rarely our mothers and our parents know that the main function which this organ has is the perceptual function, and that is of knowing. So you ask any therapist or any across the globe what type of activities, they will start with counting, they'll start with putting the beads into or putting the pegs. So day before yesterday I was trying to ask someone, yesterday only it was, what type of activities. We were doing an online session with a case of autism from Nagpur, and the mother told me, I asked her, what are the activities given to you? The pegla waila deta current to he's not seeing with his hands, and he's not seeing with his eyes and not performing with his hands. So she makes the child sit. And how would a child do? How would he perform an executive function before he knows the function? I mean, this is something which our therapist should understand, and that's the reason the topic is perceptual functions of the hand. How do you get the hand to know what the hand is doing? What it is supposed to be knowing is what is important to us. And how do you know that? How do you even understand? Do we ever give a second look into what the hand structure is? Do we give a second look as therapists as to what the arches of the hand, how they are placed? Do we give a second look to even to understand what is the functional position and how different it is from in our children? So how does a child use the hand in knowing his environment is something which we have to understand as therapists. So these two functions of the hand are very closely intertwined. Perhaps knowing is first, then doing. Most of us, even I'm bad at executive functions like very fine motor functions like needlework, possibly painting. I'm not very great at this. But that doesn't mean I don't have a perceptual organ, which is of knowing. I can touch my babies, and my touch carries a lot. I can calm them down. I can do wonders with my hand with the feeling of the perception. So, doing perceptual functions or looking at perception in a child is much also an important part than only looking at the doing part of it. From the origin of development, action is under some perceptual or sensory motor control, and the picking up of perceptual information is somehow inherent in any performed task. So now what is haptic? Okay, I went through a lot of again research to understand what is haptic. I went through the evolution of the hand as it came from our ancestors. How did the anatomy change? How did the function change? So one of the beautiful papers which was there in Just OR, they had this description of what is haptic perception. So haptic perception refers to the ability to acquire information about the object in hands, to discriminate and to recognize objects from handling them as opposed to looking at them. So you just give a sort of a reflection to this definition. Now, suppose a child is given, for example, if I give a child something like the sketch pen which is there. So the ability to acquire information about the object with the hands to discriminate and recognize the objects from handling them as opposed to looking at them. What does that mean? That means you're using the hand as a perceptual organ. You're not using vision there, but you're trying to encourage the child to use the hand as a perceptual organ. If anyone of you all have got a chance to observe a little baby who's trying to cry and trying to look out for support, the first thing the child does is grasps the mother's clothes or grasps her own face, his or her own face, and he actually clings to it. He clings to the mother's face, he clings to the mother's clothes. So, this natural action of exploring the environment to get the information, to seek the information, is innately seen in a baby, in a newborn baby. He grasps on the mother's breast, he grasps on the mother's face. Many times the mothers say that the child is actually scratching his face. That is haptic perception. He is trying to understand his face. So many times the mothers put the baby's hands into mittens. How would the child explore? How will the haptic perception develop? If you're going to put the hand into a mitten and keep the hand supported because you don't want to give attention to the child at that particular point of time. So understand that haptic perception is a very important part of the entire functions what we look as therapists. Now, development of haptic perceptions, as I said, it develops. The first signs are seen when the child starts, a newborn starts scratching his face, clinging onto the mother's. Now, what happens from 6 months on? They can haptically perceive textures. Their ability to perceive weight in the hand, they catch something in the hand and they play with that something. So, to perceive weight emerges at 9 months. The haptic sensitivity to configurational shape, that is looking at whether it's a triangle, cube, circle, haptic sensitivity, ability to perceive the shape, comes at around 12 to 15 months of age. Infants' manual behavior towards objects seems to progress in three phases during the first year of life. As I said, from birth to 3 months, clutching handheld object tightly in the fist. This behavior is controlled by the palmar grasp, which is present even before birth. So Erhardt has done a lot of work in hand functions, and there's a complete inventory which is called as an Erhardt's inventory, which is available, which we used to use in our early days in Madhya. Now we don't no longer use it. So this is what I got from that paper. These are the clutching behaviors from birth to 3 months of age. These are rhythmic, and then you get down to rhythmical stereotypies at 4 to 10 months of age. So rhythmical stereotypies is what you see from 4 to 10 months, and complementary bimanual, that is complementary one hand using with the other hand from 10 months on. So these are the three stages of what we call as the infant's manual behavior towards objects. Okay, this we are talking of something different. We're talking of the behavior of the hand towards the object happening in three stages. From birth to 3 months is clutching, clinging, pulling, making a fist. Coming to 4 months is about rhythmical stereotypies, using both the hands in rhythm in a stereotypical. You look at them, they are doing things which are similar, and complementary bimanual. Now, this is a chart which I got from that article, how different sensations are perceived. So you look at birth to 3 months, you don't get any of these haptic processing abilities, whether it is size, temperature, hardness, texture, weight, etc. It usually starts from here, around about at 4 months, where the size comes into picture. Then by 6 months, you can see that texture coming into picture, the hardness coming into picture, temperature a bit coming into picture. So here you have size coming in right at 4. From 6 months onwards, texture, hardness, temperature. 9 months onward comes the weight, and 12 months onwards comes the shape. So this is a timetable for development of haptic perception, which is derived from these two authors. For each object property, there have been citations which have been quoted. For each, the left and right, sorry, the right and the left-handed portions of each timeline indicates the ages that have not been studied, no citations are listed. Okay, so the light and the left-handed, light and the left-handed. Okay, that is what we are looking at this. The basic thing is we have to understand the shape, the weight, the texture, hardness, temperature, and size. These are conformations or haptic perception in a hand as we look at it, and these are very important characteristics which we should look at as a therapist. Now coming to our simple touch perception. Touch perception, who is doing all this? What's happening? Is someone trying to make some diagrams on the presentations? Please avoid. So touch perception consists of tactile perception, which is passive, where the skin simply makes contact with the object, and haptic perception is when the child actively and intentionally explores and manipulates objects with his hands. Haptic perception uses information from the muscles and the joints of the hand to enable us to perceive the shape, the size, the weight, texture, temperature, and hardness can be perceived by touch receptors. In haptic perception, objects have to be manipulated between the hands, within the hands, touched with the fingers, banged and explored. I hope you all can appreciate when you are going through this how important that is to develop the actual participation and use of the hand in activities of daily living. If one can give a little bit more attention to the haptic perception, the other touch perception and information which is taken through the hand when he or she is using it in his activities of daily living becomes much more easier. So the tactile spatial properties of objects are thought to be obtained through retrieval of information about the relationship of the objects to the body and gravity. Very important, very important. Objects to the body and gravity during active manual exploration. You can see the little one with mittens here, and this is exactly what happens. Many people feel that putting mittens, as I was mentioning, is good in early infancy. I would say that does not give a boundary. So if the mother can give her own hands and support the baby and say, okay, here are my hands, here are your hands, that is a better way of teaching or giving a tactile a spatial confirmation to the baby. Use of different tools, objects, definitely very useful. Putting the hand through, pulling it out. Also going into different textures. Now when we say, why not for tactile, this is exactly what we say. What we can understand is when you're looking at superficial tactile does not develop. So looking at development of haptic perception again, coming to development, the hands and the mouth are potential sources of haptic information. Manipulation facilitates the learning of the object's characteristics. Mouth can be used to gain information about the shape and substance of the objects. In early stages, all the learning is from the mouth, whether it is the mother's breast, whether it is hand to mouth, it is hand and the mouth. And as you look at the homunculus, all of you all know it is the mouth which is represented the maximum and the thumb and the hand. So that's where your haptic perception also in the early stages, learning through your mouth, learning through your hand is a very important phase. As the infant develops, the hands are a perceptual system that participate in the infant's construction of knowledge. It is more during the exploratory play of the first year that infants begin to learn about their environment, their bodies, and how their actions can effect a change. During these times, the foundations of later symbolic action is laid. So, your paper cutting, paper crunching does not come by itself. There is a lot which goes under into that action, or even holding a pen. So, if you want to teach the child the goal of maybe painting or maybe looking at cutting across a line or cutting in a boundary, look at how his haptic perception has developed, how those functions are developed. And that's the reason it's very important for a mother to play with the baby. Unless the mother teaches the baby to play with her, to play with himself, the foundations of haptic perception are not laid. The infants might perceive and understand the physical world through their hands without visual control. From birth, infants can habituate to shape and detect discrepancies between shapes equally well with the other hand. In the first 6 months after birth, the young baby is capable of quite good performances in detection of discrepancies between shapes. Geometrical shapes such as curvilinear or rectilinear or topological relations, full shapes or shapes pierced with a hole are well differentiated from the age of 2 months. Now, my question to you all is, what type of objects would you all look at in the first 6 months of life when you all are thinking of haptic perception? In the first 6 months of life. Hey, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now you are coming to haptic perception. Good. Mother's hair, own clothes, himself. Mother's touch is a broad thing, Tika. See, again, yesterday I was looking and I was trying to tell this mother, I wish I had the picture to show you. I just gently slid my hand into the baby's hand, and the baby was so quiet. He was so quiet. So the a single mother's finger, a single finger from the mother's side, just the mother's cheek, his own hands, his own sheets. It is not other sheets. Huh? They don't go on exploring other sheets by this time. Their own sheets, their own clothes, their own body, the mother's body. These are even the mother's breast, for example. They want to play, they want to be there, they want to feel the contour. So all these are their objects to increase their haptic perception. That is in the beginning, maybe 0 to 1 months old. From 1 to 2 months old, if you see them, they become asymmetric. Their ATNR comes, as you all say. It is, as we say, it is a repertoire of asymmetry in entity. So the hand starts going on to one side and the eyes start looking to follow to grasp a hand. So that is a time when they start feeling the surface, which is under. The surface becomes their toy, the way to grab the surface, and they pull and they rotate, they roll over. So by 3 months, they are pushing onto the surface and trying to find the source of some. Still, they are not exploring at 3 months of age. They are just trying to hold on to themselves. By 4 months of age, they try to push onto the hands. When they try to push onto the hands and they try to come up, the surface again becomes their. So when you're doing therapy with younger children, try to understand what type of toys. So how would you institute the soft toys? How would you institute toys for them? Yes, in hand small toys is something which is very useful. So very soft woolen balls, the tactile blankets on which they can pull on, the soft cushy balls on which they can rake. These are very good. Feeding bottles is also something Mridul has answered, I think. Yes, parents face we covered. Again, wooden cubes comes in much later, Purva. That's why I wanted you all to understand this difference. As I said, that the shapes, when you're looking at, they're trying to form their haptic perception. Understand first what haptic perception is. They will not be able to play with wooden cubes. They will be able to hold the cube. If you see them holding the cube and releasing it, holding the cube and releasing it. So later on, when they understand shapes, as we went on to our previous slides in the presentation, you can introduce shapes. I hope I'm clear on what I'm trying to say to you all, that just don't look at giving toys, look at what type of things you can alter in the environment. You can also give them a small pen which is coated by a texture which they can hold. So this becomes very important for them. The mother's finger, something which is small and cylindrical. So when we had prepared our herbs policy kit, the brachyplexus policy kit, this mother had been very innovative. She had taken straws and she had glued them up with a nice texture on it, and she's to give the baby to play with the straw in hand. You know? So this is something which they love in the first 6 months, at least in the first 2-3 months. At this age, the baby is also capable of looking at a cotton reel from a flat object. Okay, so look at things like small reels of threads also you can give them to play with. These performances do not mean, okay, that they have a very clear representation of what is being held in hand. It is a process of haptic perception. From birth, infants are capable of encoding, remembering, and recognizing a certain amount of information. That they are on an information gathering spree. Chalo chalte hai, kya mil raha hai, na? That type of a spree they are on. They are still not, okay, this is a cube, this is a square, this is a circle. I'm still trying to feel what's happening with the world and what's coming into my hands. And I'm trying to then use my vision. So when they start raking at around 5 months, and then they start pulling objects and then looking at it, that's when your eye and hand starts developing. Now try this. Suppose you can, if we have the time, close your eyes. If there's someone around you, have your friend touch various objects to your skin. Okay, so think you are, even if you can do it, so you can have something like a coin, move around your skin by closing your eyes. Okay, without moving the objects on your skin or using too much pressure. So just putting the objects onto the skin. So suppose it's a sketch pen and you touch, someone touches you, you will not know whether it's a thermometer or a pen unless you manipulate it. Okay, so unless you move it. So once then, using the same objects, have your friend move the objects on your skin. It gives you more information. Okay, but still not completely. Then finally, when you keep the object in the hand, you will be able to feel it more, and okay, this is a sketch pen in my hand. So first is touching, then is moving, and the third is exploring. You will explore by moving your hands. It is possible that you can guess what the objects are, but this is because you have already had an experience of these things. Children who do not have these concepts need to explore. Underline that word, they need to explore to get them. So what are the steps for therapy? The first is moving, then is feeling, okay, just touching, feeling, and then exploring. And exploring is a very important part of the whole scenario. We should not forget that. Just taking and putting, take and put a peg, do this, do that. I think let's move away from that and see how we can use the arms, hands better. Touch is a continuum. Touch is sensation from the tactile receptors, then your tactile perception, and then goes on to tactile cognition. This continuum is bi-directional. That means it gives you a reverse information also. You have a registration cognitively of what you're doing, then you learn a new concept, then you move on to another object and you learn more. So ability of the children to identify objects and shapes improves with increased perception. 2.5 to 3.5 years of age, they are able to correctly recognize common objects. Okay, they're able to identify shapes. Some of the kids are, if you see one of our therapist kids, she's able to do and develop the ability to match topologic forms. My internet connection is unstable. Recognition of
Yeah,
geometry.
ma'am, we can't hear you properly.
There is a problem with my, let me see on what I
No,
am.
now it's fine. Now it's fine.
It showed that it was unstable. Recognition
Okay.
of geometric, I just wanted to say that because the other day you all didn't hear me well, that's what you all said. Recognition of geometric shapes emerged at 4 to 4.5 years with the ability to differentiate curvilinear, circle and ellipse from rectilinear, that is square and rectangle shapes. The ability to recognize geometrical shapes in greater numbers and levels was shown at 4.5 to 7 years of age. Development of texture discrimination improves between 4 to 9 years because tactile sensitivity increases in that span. So again, these are the different age groups for haptic discrimination and what they can play with. So 2.5 to 4, children may play with an object, example push, but there is no active exploration. Grasping, touching objects is seen with the palm. Being still when they are making contact with those objects. By 3 to 6 years, the child begins to make discoveries about discriminative features seemingly by chance. You can see them poking into objects, you can see them pulling things out. So that's the way they learn, they explore. 4 to 5 years, exploration remains passive with object being grasped between palm and middle fingers. Crude manual exploration begins. When manual exploration is seen, it is done with a global haphazard manner which includes probing for distinctive features. 5 to 6 years, systemic use of both the hands begins. Isolated analysis of distinctive features without studying whole form can be observed, and 6 to 7 years, use of a systematic method of exploration can be seen, and counter following is used. So the ability to distinguish texture, shape, and substance of the object through the intramodal and the intermodal. That means when you introduce one more system, that is the visual system, it is the haptic, that is what you're exploring or perceiving with your hand and the eyes. So it is haptic vision, visual haptic. It begins to emerge early in infancy and continues to mature into adolescence. The intermodal transfer of information between the haptic and visual senses we know occurs between 4 to 6 months. This means that infants during the second half of the first year of life can explore an object using the hand or the eye and then recognize the same object as being similar or different using a different sense. Like adults, children show great left than right hand skills in some forms of haptic perception, possibly reflecting the specialization of right hemisphere for processing of spatial information. So research suggests that in addition to somatosensory information, manual and in-hand manipulation along with vision and cognition contributes to hand perception. So please understand that when you're looking at hand functions and hand therapy, you have to go a little bit more into deep of how would you approach the hand. Now these are some procedures, as I said, which infants use: haptic manipulation strategies, grasping, rubbing, banging, fingering, mouthing, switching, squeezing, rubbing, pressing, poking, slapping, scooting, dropping. Okay, and the adults, if you see, the object dimensions and exploratory procedures are given: texture, lateral motion, hardness, by pressure, temperature, static control, weight is unsupported holding. When you're looking at structure, weight is unsupported holding. Volume, enclosure or counter following. Global shape is enclosure. Exact shape is counter following. Function, part motion test. And these are tests which are used, which they do, which have been mentioned in this particular paper which we had read for haptic procedures. So now how do you evaluate the hand perception? All these are there: Miller's assessments of preschoolers. CPIT is there for the other age group, and manual form perception test. Hand perception in children with disorders. We all know that kids with prematurity have a limited field in acquiring information, a limited capacity in acquiring information. That's because of their entire system. They have difficulty in perceiving passive touch, ineffective use of active touch to explore their world. They have large arm movements and less object manipulation. There's a shorter duration of action. They don't persist for a long time. They have less directed information seeking action, and high risk infants have been found to be less organized action. We all know this. Therefore, attention strategies to explore are missing. Okay, so this is how they use, what all are used, what are the systems. First being the motivation, sensory motor, perception, muscles and skeletal system, cognition, attention, self-efficacy. Mihika, can we stop here and then maybe continue the next time? Is that good?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we have quite a few slides and the treatment part of it still pending. 1:40, we can stop here because I do have to rush to the child.
All right.
Your questions are welcome because it's a new field. I thought we should explore it together. So next time you can take the questions. Please feel free to uh, ask your questions regarding this new perception and new field what we are looking at, and send them across to our email ID. Heads up. Okay. Yes. And think about it, read about it, think about it, and come next time for a exploratory session which we will do in groups. So we will Mihika will tell you what objects to keep with your the objects, and we'll have a practical demonstration of haptic perception.
Yes, ma'am. Chalega.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mihika,
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. मॅम खूप मस्त झालं. मॅम आय विश अजून असतं. आय विश अजून मस्त होतं.